Have you ever felt that there's something more to life, something deeper that you're not quite tapping into? Maybe you've had moments where you thought, is this all there is? Am I meant for something greater? It's a question that many of us ask at some point. And here's another one. Why does it seem like some people have a certain glow, a peace, or a wisdom that others don't? What if I told you that the key to this hidden potential is within you, just waiting to be unlocked? Now, imagine this simple scenario. You're walking through a crowded market, and your eyes catch a beautiful, rare gemstone lying unnoticed on the ground. It's dusty, hidden among the dirt, but you know that underneath all of that, it's a treasure waiting to be discovered. What if the hidden gem was you? Could it be that you've been so caught up in the everyday grind that you haven't noticed the incredible power you hold inside? Welcome to Wisdom Woven. In today's video, we'll explore how you can tap into that hidden gem within you. This journey is not about finding something new outside of yourself, but recognizing and cultivating the potential that's always been there. We're diving into how you can become your best self, embrace the wisdom that lies within, and make an impact on the world around you. But before we go deeper, let me ask you one thing. Have you subscribed to this channel yet? There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people actually subscribe. So, if you're enjoying this content or feel it's helpful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. It helps us reach more people and share these transformative ideas with others. Now, let's get started. In the next few minutes, you'll uncover the truths that might just change how you see yourself and the world. Let's begin this journey of awakening the hidden gem within you. The foundations of Buddhism, a path to inner awakening. Imagine waking up every day with a sense of peace, knowing that you are truly in control of your mind and emotions. What if you could experience life with more clarity, understanding, and compassion? What if you could face all the ups and downs of life without being overwhelmed, knowing that everything is part of a bigger picture? This is the essence of what Buddhism teaches, a way of seeing and being that helps us unlock our hidden potential. Buddhism is not just a religion. It's a way of life, a path that can guide us toward inner peace and wisdom. It's about understanding the nature of suffering, the impermanence of all things, and how to live with a sense of purpose and balance. But before we dive into the practices and philosophies of Buddhism, let's first understand its basic foundations. At the core of Buddhism is the realization that life is full of suffering. This might sound harsh, but it's actually the first step toward freedom. When we accept that suffering is part of life, whether it's physical pain, emotional stress, or the inevitable losses we face, we can begin to let go of the idea that we should always be happy. Happiness comes and goes, but peace comes from understanding that suffering is temporary and that it's an opportunity for growth. Buddha, the founder of Buddhism, said that suffering is a natural part of human existence. He didn't want us to be sad about it, but rather to understand it, accept it, and learn from it. The first of the Four Noble Truths states, life involves suffering. This may sound familiar to you. After all, don't we all face moments where we feel lost or frustrated with the way things are going? Yet, if we learn to look at these moments differently, they can become the starting point for our transformation. The second truth explains why we suffer. Buddha taught that our suffering is caused by our attachments, the things we hold onto too tightly. We become attached to people, possessions, outcomes, and even our own ideas of how life should be. When these attachments are threatened or lost, we experience pain. But what if we could let go of the things that bind us? What if we could release our grip on life and allow things to flow naturally? This doesn't mean we stop caring, but that we start understanding that life's ebbs and flows are not something to fear, but to embrace. The third truth is about the end of suffering. It's the most hopeful part of the teaching. Buddha believed that by letting go of attachments and understanding the nature of suffering, we could free ourselves from its grip. It's not that we will never face challenges or difficulties, but that we can approach them without being ruled by them. This freedom is possible for all of us if we are willing to learn, to grow, and to change. Finally, the fourth truth offers a path out of suffering. It's the Eightfold Path, a guide to living a life of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. By following this path, we can create the conditions for happiness and peace in our lives. The Eightfold Path is not something you achieve all at once. It's a lifelong journey. But by practicing it every day, we can begin to see the world with more clarity and kindness, transforming ourselves and those around us. Now, you might be wondering how this all connects to the hidden gem within you. The truth is, the path that Buddhism offers is about unlocking the potential that's already inside you. It's about moving away from the distractions and attachments that cloud your mind, and instead, cultivating the inner wisdom that allows you to see life as it truly is. When you understand the foundations of Buddhism, you can begin to awaken to your true self, your hidden gem, and use that wisdom to create a life of peace, purpose, and compassion. Buddhism teaches us that our mind is like a garden. If we let weeds of anger, jealousy, and fear grow in it, they will take over and crowd out the beautiful flowers of love, compassion, and understanding. But if we cultivate our minds with positive thoughts, meditation, and mindfulness, we can create a garden that is full of peace and joy. This is the practice of mindfulness, a core element of Buddhism that helps us become aware of our thoughts and actions in each moment. The practice of mindfulness is about being fully present in whatever we do. It's about focusing on the here and now, rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. When we are mindful, we stop running on autopilot and start engaging with life in a deeper way. Whether you're eating, walking, or simply sitting, mindfulness helps you become aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. It allows you to respond to life's challenges with wisdom and clarity, rather than reacting out of habit or emotion. Meditation is another essential practice in Buddhism that helps to awaken the mind. When we meditate, we create space for stillness and peace. It's in this stillness that we can connect with our deeper wisdom, our hidden gem. Meditation doesn't mean clearing your mind of all thoughts. Instead, it's about observing your thoughts without attachment. Over time, this practice helps us to see life with more clarity and less distraction, and it allows us to become more in tune with our true nature. Another important aspect of Buddhism is the concept of impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing. Nothing stays the same. This can be difficult for us to accept, especially when we become attached to certain outcomes or ways of life. But when we understand that all things are temporary, we begin to let go of our need for control. We learn to appreciate the present moment, knowing that it will soon pass, and we become more accepting of change. This acceptance of impermanence is a key to finding peace and contentment in life. Buddhism also emphasizes compassion, both for ourselves and others. Compassion is the ability to understand the suffering of others and to want to alleviate it. It's not just about being kind, but about truly seeing and feeling the struggles of others and taking action to help them. When we develop compassion, we not only help others, but we also free ourselves from the ego-driven desire to always be right or to get ahead. Compassion opens the heart and allows us to see the world through the eyes of others, creating deeper connections and a more peaceful world. At the heart of Buddhism is the idea that we are all interconnected. Our actions affect others, and their actions affect us. This interconnectedness teaches us that everything we do matters. Whether we're aware of it or not, our thoughts, words, and actions ripple out into the world, creating effects far beyond what we can see. By practicing the principles of Buddhism, we begin to understand this interconnectedness more deeply, and we start living in a way that contributes to the well-being of all. As we continue on this path, we realize that the hidden gem within us is not something separate from the world around us. It is part of the whole. When we awaken to the wisdom of Buddhism, we understand that our potential is not about achieving something external, but about discovering and embodying the truth of who we are. This truth is not just for us. It's for everyone, because when we unlock our hidden gem, we can help others do the same. The journey of awakening is not easy. It requires patience, discipline, and a willingness to face our fears and limitations. But it's also a journey of incredible beauty and transformation. The more we practice mindfulness, compassion, and meditation, the more we begin to see the world as it truly is, full of opportunity, full of potential, and full of peace. And as we do this, we start to uncover the hidden gem within us, shining brighter with every step we take on the path. This is the foundation of Buddhism, the path to inner awakening. It's a journey that will lead you to the truth of who you are, a truth that has always been there, waiting for you to discover it. As you continue on this path, Remember that every step you take is a step closer to realizing your hidden potential. It's time to awaken to the wisdom, peace, and joy that have always been within you. Signs of a hidden gem, traits that set you apart. You've heard it before, some people are born to shine. But here's a secret. Each of us has the potential to shine. It's not about being born with something others don't have. It's about the way you live your life and the choices you make. So, how do you know if you're one of those rare individuals, a hidden gem waiting to be discovered? What makes someone stand out from the crowd? Let's explore a few signs that might help you recognize the gem inside you. First, let's talk about your sense of self-awareness. One of the most powerful traits of someone with hidden potential is the ability to understand themselves deeply. Do you ever find yourself reflecting on your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions? Do you ever step back from life and think, how can I be better? People who possess a hidden gem within them are constantly learning, constantly growing, and constantly improving themselves. They are aware of their flaws, their strengths, and their desires, and they use this understanding to make better decisions in life. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Another sign of a hidden gem is compassion. If you find yourself deeply moved by the suffering of others, if you feel the urge to help those in need, and if you can truly empathize with the pain of another, then you possess one of the most valuable qualities of a hidden gem. True compassion comes not from pity, but from a deep understanding that all living beings deserve kindness, respect, and love. This trait is what connects you to others on a level that goes beyond surface-level interactions. People who possess this trait are rare because they are willing to give without expecting anything in return, and that makes them valuable. Patience is another trait that sets you apart from others. In a world where everything is moving faster and faster, the ability to remain calm and collected is like a treasure in itself. Have you ever noticed that the people who seem to have it all together, the ones who are calm in chaos, often have a sense of peace that others can't quite grasp? Patience isn't just about waiting. It's about trusting the process, having faith that everything will unfold as it's meant to. If you can remain grounded and patient in challenging situations, you're showing that you have the potential to be something extraordinary. The hidden gem in you might also show itself in your ability to forgive. Forgiveness is not easy. It's one of the hardest things to do when someone has wronged you. But those who are able to forgive quickly and without holding grudges are often the ones who have mastered one of the most difficult aspects of life. Letting go of anger and resentment isn't about the other person. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional burden that holds you back. People who forgive easily and truly let go of past hurts are often the ones who experience greater peace and fulfillment in their lives. If you find yourself able to forgive and move on, then you have the ability to live freely. Another key trait of a hidden gem is resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, but how do you respond to the challenges that come your way? Do you crumble under pressure, or do you rise up and keep moving forward? Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to keep going even when things get tough. If you face difficult situations, yet still continue to move forward with a positive attitude, then you're embodying one of the core qualities of a hidden gem. Resilience means you don't let life's challenges define you. Instead, you use them to grow stronger and wiser. What about your passion? Hidden gems are often individuals who are deeply passionate about something, whether it's their work, a cause, or a personal goal. If you find that you're driven by something greater than yourself, that your heart is filled with a sense of purpose, then you're on the right path. Passion is the fire that fuels your journey and gives you the energy to keep going even when the road gets tough. It's not about finding something that everyone else finds important. It's about discovering what lights up your soul and following it with everything you've got. You may also notice that hidden gems tend to have a sense of humility. True humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of yourself less. People who possess humility don't need to boast about their achievements or constantly seek validation from others. They do what they do because they love it and because it aligns with their values. They recognize that no one is better than anyone else, and they approach the world with respect and kindness. If you're someone who doesn't need constant recognition and is just focused on doing the right thing, then you are embracing one of the key traits of a hidden gem. Another important trait is integrity. Integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is watching. It's a quiet strength that reveals itself in your actions, in the small choices you make every day. People with integrity live their lives with honesty and honor. They don't cut corners, and they don't compromise their values just to make things easier. If you're someone who sticks to your principles no matter what, then you are showing the world that you have the heart of a hidden gem. And lastly, the hidden gem within you might reveal itself in your ability to inspire others. Have you ever noticed that some people naturally inspire those around them? They don't have to try hard to be noticed. They simply walk through life with a certain energy, and people are drawn to them. If you have the ability to uplift others, to make them believe in themselves, or to spark change with your words and actions, then you are living proof that you have something special. Inspiring others is one of the greatest gifts you can give to the world. These are just a few of the signs that you are a hidden gem. The beauty of a gem is that it doesn't look special at first glance. It's only when you look closer, when you start polishing it, that its true value begins to shine through. The same is true for you. You might not see your own brilliance yet, but the world is waiting for you to uncover it. By cultivating these traits, self-awareness, compassion, patience, forgiveness, resilience, passion, humility, integrity, and the ability to inspire, you're unlocking the hidden gem within yourself. It's not about being perfect. It's about being authentic and true to who you really are. So, take a moment to look within yourself. What traits do you see? Which of these signs resonate with you? The hidden gem is already inside of you. It just needs to be polished, nurtured, and embraced. And when it is, you'll see the world in a whole new way, and others will see you for the beautiful, rare gem you truly are. Embracing suffering, the key to inner transformation. Life is full of ups and downs, and we all face challenges. From small setbacks to major hardships, suffering is something that touches every one of us. But what if I told you that suffering is not something to be avoided or feared? What if, instead of running away from pain, you could learn to embrace it as an important part of your journey? Suffering, in Buddhism, is not seen as something negative, but rather as an opportunity for growth. It is a natural part of life, something that everyone experiences at different times. The Buddha, over 2,500 years ago, taught that suffering is an inherent part of the human condition. But he didn't leave us with just this truth. He also showed us how to transform our suffering into something meaningful. Let's take a moment to think about suffering in a simple way. Imagine you're walking through a forest. The trees are tall and strong, and you feel calm in their shade. But as you move deeper into the forest, you notice a thorn bush blocking your path. You could turn back and go the way you came, avoiding the bush altogether. Or you could face it, carefully navigate through it, and learn how to get past it without being hurt. In life, suffering is like that thorn bush. It's something you cannot avoid forever, but you can learn to navigate through it. It may hurt at first, but with patience, understanding, and a little skill, you can overcome it and continue your journey. The key to understanding this is knowing that suffering is not something to be defeated, but something to be accepted and transformed. Buddhism teaches that there are three main causes of suffering: craving, aversion, and ignorance. Let's break them down simply. Craving. This is the desire for things to be different than they are. We want more, we want things to stay the same, or we want things to be a certain way. This craving for things outside of ourselves is a source of suffering. We often forget that happiness doesn't come from what we want, but from accepting things as they are. Aversion. This is the opposite of craving. It's the dislike or avoidance of things we don't want. We often try to push away uncomfortable feelings, situations, or people, but this only causes more suffering. By facing our discomforts head-on, we can find peace instead of running from it. Ignorance. This is simply not seeing things as they truly are. We often get caught up in our own opinions, beliefs, and judgments, not realizing that everything in life is impermanent. Nothing stays the same forever, and if we can understand that, we can let go of our attachment to things and reduce our suffering. Understanding these causes of suffering allows us to look at them differently. Instead of seeing suffering as a burden, we can view it as an invitation to learn more about ourselves. In every painful moment, there's an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The Buddha said that suffering is like a disease, but it's not the disease itself that harms us. It's the way we respond to it. Just like when we're sick, The pain is real, but how we handle it determines whether we heal or not. If we approach our suffering with awareness and openness, we can transform it into something that brings us closer to inner peace. But this transformation isn't something that happens overnight. It requires patience, practice, and a willingness to change the way we think about our experiences. The more we understand the impermanence of everything around us, the more we can learn to let go. This doesn't mean we stop caring about things, but we stop holding on to them so tightly. We begin to appreciate the present moment, and we let go of our need for things to always go the way we want. One powerful tool for transforming suffering is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without judgment. It's about observing our thoughts, feelings, and sensations as they arise, without getting lost in them. When we practice mindfulness, we can begin to see suffering for what it truly is, a passing experience. We no longer need to identify with our pain or discomfort because we understand that it's not who we are. It's just a part of the flow of life. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're sitting quietly and a thought comes to your mind. Maybe it's a worry about something in the future or a memory of something painful from the past. If you don't practice mindfulness, you might get caught up in that thought. You might start to feel anxious or sad. But if you are mindful, you can notice the thought without attaching to it. You can say to yourself, this is just a thought, and let it pass. It's like watching a cloud float by in the sky. The cloud doesn't stay forever, and neither do our thoughts or emotions. By practicing mindfulness in this way, we begin to see suffering in a different light. We realize that it doesn't last forever, and we don't have to let it control us. We also begin to understand that suffering is not something that happens to us. It's something we can respond to in a more peaceful way. Another essential part of embracing suffering is compassion. Compassion is the ability to feel empathy for others who are suffering and to offer help when we can. When we are compassionate toward ourselves, we begin to accept our own suffering without judgment. And when we are compassionate toward others, we can help them navigate their own challenges. You might think, how can suffering bring about compassion? But think about this. When we experience pain or difficulty, it opens our hearts to the suffering of others. We begin to understand that everyone has their own struggles, even if we don't always see them. This shared human experience of suffering connects us to one another and allows us to help each other heal. In Buddhism, compassion is one of the highest virtues. It's not just about feeling sorry for others, but about taking action to alleviate their suffering. It's about showing kindness, even when it's difficult. When we embrace suffering in our own lives, we naturally develop more compassion for others. This creates a cycle of healing that benefits everyone. So, the next time you face suffering, whether it's physical pain, emotional distress, or a difficult situation, remember that it's an opportunity for growth. Instead of pushing it away or trying to escape, see it as a doorway to greater understanding. Use your suffering to develop patience, mindfulness, and compassion. Let it be the fire that refines you, the forge that shapes you into the person you're meant to be. And remember, it's not the absence of suffering that brings peace. It's how we deal with it. The path to inner peace is not about avoiding pain, but about learning to walk through it with grace and wisdom. Through this process, you can transform your suffering into something beautiful and unlock the hidden gem within you. The power of mindfulness, seeing beyond the surface. Have you ever found yourself rushing through life without truly noticing what's around you? It's easy to do. We get caught up in the daily grind, work, errands, social media, and the world becomes a blur. We're always thinking ahead, planning for the next moment, but in doing so, we often miss the one we're living right now. This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present. It's about slowing down and paying attention to what's happening at this very moment. When you're mindful, you're not lost in thoughts about the past or future. You're not distracted by your phone or by what you have to do next. Instead, you're grounded in the now. And when you learn to be present, you begin to see the world in a different light. Imagine walking through a park. If you're not paying attention, you might miss the beauty around you. The sound of the wind rustling the leaves, the scent of fresh flowers, the feeling of the warm sun on your skin. But if you are mindful, you notice all of it. You start to see the little details, the things you usually overlook. Mindfulness allows you to experience life more fully. But mindfulness isn't just about noticing the world around you. It's about noticing what's inside you, too. It's about being aware of your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations without judging them. Often, we react automatically to our thoughts and feelings. If we feel anxious, we might try to push it away. If we're angry, we might act on it without thinking. But mindfulness teaches us to observe these feelings with a sense of calm, without getting caught up in them. It's like stepping back and watching a movie rather than being stuck in the middle of it. In Buddhism, mindfulness is a key practice. It's one of the most powerful tools to help us understand the nature of our minds and find peace. The Buddha taught that suffering comes not from the events in our lives, but from how we respond to them. If we're constantly reacting, we create more suffering for ourselves. But when we practice mindfulness, we can respond with wisdom, kindness, and calm. We begin to break free from the cycle of stress and frustration that comes from living on autopilot. The simple act of paying attention can transform your life. For example, when you're eating, don't just eat mindlessly. Take the time to really taste your food. Notice the textures, the flavors, the warmth. This simple act can make your meal feel more satisfying. When you're walking, feel the ground beneath your feet. Listen to the sounds around you. By being present, you bring depth and richness to even the most ordinary moments. But mindfulness isn't just about slowing down in the moment. It also helps us see beyond the surface. We often judge people, situations, and experiences based on our first impressions. We see something, and we immediately make assumptions about it. But mindfulness encourages us to go deeper. It asks us to look beyond the surface and see things as they truly are. Think about the people in your life. How often do you truly see them? When someone is speaking to you, are you really listening? Or are you just thinking about what you're going to say next? Are you judging them based on their appearance or their past actions? Mindfulness teaches us to listen without judgment, to see people for who they really are in that moment, without bringing in our own biases or assumptions. This is especially important when it comes to understanding ourselves. We can be our harshest critics, focusing on our flaws and mistakes. But mindfulness helps us see ourselves with compassion. Instead of berating ourselves for not being perfect, we can acknowledge our struggles and mistakes with kindness. It allows us to let go of self-judgment and simply accept ourselves as we are, without trying to change everything at once. Mindfulness also helps us see the interconnectedness of all things. In our busy lives, it's easy to feel disconnected from others, from nature, and even from ourselves. But when we practice mindfulness, we begin to realize that everything is connected. Every breath, every action, every thought has an impact. When we are mindful, we become more aware of the ripple effect of our actions. We understand that we're not isolated beings, but part of a larger whole. This interconnectedness is at the heart of Buddhism. The Buddha taught that all things are interconnected and that nothing exists in isolation. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see this truth more clearly. We understand that our thoughts, our actions, and our words have the power to create positive change in the world around us. We begin to act with greater awareness, making choices that are in harmony with the world and with our deepest values. One of the most powerful aspects of mindfulness is its ability to help us cultivate compassion. When we see the world as it truly is, we can't help but feel compassion for others. We understand that everyone, no matter how they appear on the outside, is going through their own struggles. Everyone has their own pain, their own fears, and their own hopes. Mindfulness opens our hearts to others, helping us to respond with kindness and understanding, rather than judgment. But mindfulness isn't something you can learn overnight. It's a practice, something you must cultivate over time. Start small. Begin by noticing your breath for a few minutes each day. When you're eating, try to focus on the experience of eating without distractions. When you're walking, feel each step. Gradually, as you practice mindfulness in the small moments, you'll find it easier to be present in bigger moments. Over time, mindfulness becomes a way of life. It changes how you respond to stress, how you interact with others, and how you experience the world. You'll start to notice things you never saw before, both inside yourself and in the world around you. You'll begin to see the hidden gems in your life, the things that were always there but that you had overlooked. Remember, mindfulness is not about achieving perfection. It's about being present, noticing what's happening, and responding with awareness. It's a practice of being kind to yourself and others, of seeing the world with fresh eyes, and of living with intention. When you live mindfully, you begin to unlock the hidden gem within you. You begin to see life for what it truly is: beautiful, imperfect, and full of potential. This practice doesn't just bring peace to your mind, it also leads to greater wisdom. You begin to see things more clearly, without the fog of distractions and worries clouding your judgment. As your mindfulness grows, so does your understanding of yourself and the world around you. You start to make choices that are more aligned with your true self. In Buddhism, mindfulness is not just a mental exercise. It's a way of being in the world. It's the foundation of a wise and compassionate life. So, as you move forward, remember that the power of mindfulness lies in the present moment. It's in the small moments, the quiet moments, where you can connect with yourself and the world around you. And in those moments, you'll find the hidden gem of peace, clarity, and insight waiting for you. Karma and the ripple effect of your actions. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a calm pond. You drop a small stone into the water, and immediately, ripples begin to spread outwards, touching every corner of the pond. Even though the stone is small, its impact is felt throughout the entire water. This simple image gives us a clear picture of karma, how our actions, no matter how small, send out ripples that affect the world around us. In Buddhism, karma is not just about rewards and punishments. It's a natural law, like gravity. What we put into the world, in thoughts, words, and actions, comes back to us in some form. It's not always immediate, and it's not always obvious, but the law of karma is always at work, shaping our lives in ways we may not even realize. Let's take a moment to reflect on a simple example. Think about a time when you did something kind for someone without expecting anything in return. Maybe you helped a stranger, or you offered a kind word to someone who was feeling low. It might have seemed like a small gesture, but in that moment, you planted a seed of positivity in the world. That seed might grow in ways you can't see. Maybe it brightens someone's day, or maybe they pass on the kindness to someone else. The ripples continue to spread. On the other hand, consider a time when you acted out of anger or frustration. Maybe you said something hurtful or made a decision that wasn't in line with your true values. In that moment, the ripple of negativity was set into motion. It doesn't mean you are a bad person. It's just a natural consequence of our actions. The important part is to recognize it and learn from it so that you can make better choices next time. Karma teaches us that everything we do, think, and say has consequences. It doesn't judge us. It simply shows us the truth of our actions. When we act with kindness, love, and compassion, those are the seeds we plant. When we act out of selfishness, anger, or fear, we plant those seeds as well. And just like a garden, what we nurture grows. But here's the most important part. Karma is not a system of rewards and punishments. It's a reminder that we are interconnected. Our actions affect others, and others' actions affect us. When we act with compassion, we create an environment where peace and harmony can grow. When we act out of negativity, we contribute to suffering, not just for ourselves, but for others as well. One of the most profound teachings of Buddhism is that we are responsible for our own karma. This means that we have the power to shape our future. If we recognize the power of our actions and start living consciously, we can break free from patterns that lead to suffering. Instead, we can choose actions that lead to joy, peace, and fulfillment. Karma is often misunderstood as something that only happens in the external world. In reality, it's just as much about our internal world. The thoughts we have, the feelings we nurture, and the intentions we carry. If we harbor negative thoughts, resentment, or fear, those two create karmic ripples. On the other hand, if we nurture a mind of clarity, love, and peace, we invite those same qualities into our lives. It's important to remember that karma is not always about the immediate consequences of our actions. Sometimes, the effects of our choices take time to unfold. You may not see the immediate results of your kindness or the long-term impact of your negative actions, but trust that everything has a ripple effect. You may not always see the results, but they are there, shaping your world. This understanding of karma invites us to live mindfully, to act with intention, and to be aware of how our actions are shaping the world around us. It's easy to forget this in the rush of daily life, but every moment is an opportunity to create a positive impact. Every decision we make, no matter how small, sends out ripples. Think about it this way. When you wake up in the morning, the first thoughts you have set the tone for the day. If you wake up thinking, today is going to be a good day, you begin your day with a positive intention. That positive energy ripples out into the world through your actions, interactions, and choices. On the other hand, if you wake up with negative thoughts, feeling frustrated, tired, or defeated, those thoughts also set the tone. They create ripples of negativity that affect your day, your relationships, and your experiences. That's why the practice of mindfulness and self-awareness is so important. By becoming aware of our thoughts and actions, we can change the course of our lives. Buddhism teaches us that the law of karma is not something to fear or use as a tool for judgment. Instead, it's an invitation to live consciously, to take responsibility for our actions, and to understand that every choice we make has an impact. We don't need to wait for karma to punish us or reward us. Instead, we can choose to be the creators of our own destiny by living with intention, compassion, and awareness. In the end, karma is about the interconnectedness of all things. Every action, every word, and every thought has a ripple effect. When we recognize this, we begin to live with more intention. We start to choose our actions based on what will create positive ripples, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us. And the most beautiful part of karma is that it's always in our hands. We have the power to choose what kind of world we want to create, simply by the way we live our lives. So, if you want to create a life filled with peace, love, and joy, start by being mindful of the ripples you send out. Every action, every word, and every thought has the potential to create a beautiful world. As you begin to understand the power of karma, remember, you are not just affecting yourself. You are part of a much bigger picture. The ripples of your actions can create waves that reach far beyond your understanding. By living with awareness and compassion, you can transform your life and the world around you. The law of karma is not just a Buddhist teaching, it's a universal truth, one that is at work in every moment of our lives. The choice is always yours. The Four Noble Truths, a guide to overcoming life's challenges. Life at its core is full of challenges. Every day, we face struggles, big and small. Whether it's dealing with work stress, personal relationships, or the ups and downs of our own emotions, it can sometimes feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. But what if I told you that these challenges are not something we need to avoid or fear, but something we can understand and use as stepping stones to greater wisdom? In Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths offer a roadmap for understanding life's challenges and finding peace, even in the midst of suffering. These truths are not just abstract ideas. They are practical teachings that, when understood deeply, can transform the way we experience life. Let's break them down, one by one, in the simplest terms. 1. The truth of suffering, dukkha. The first truth is that suffering exists. It's a simple fact of life. We all experience it, whether it's physical pain, emotional heartbreak, or the frustration of unmet desires. But here's the key point. Suffering is not something unique to you. It's universal. Every person on this planet, no matter how rich, successful, or powerful, faces some form of suffering. This doesn't mean that life is only about pain, but that pain is a natural part of the human experience. It's inescapable, but it's also temporary. Understanding that suffering is a part of life allows us to stop fighting it and start learning from it. 2. The truth of the cause of suffering, samadaya. The second truth reveals the cause of suffering. It's not just bad luck or random misfortune. According to Buddhism, the root cause of suffering is craving or desire. Our attachment to things, people, or experiences. We want things to be a certain way, and when they're not, we feel dissatisfied. This craving leads to a cycle of wanting and not having, of hoping for happiness in external circumstances. But what if we could stop relying on external things to find happiness? What if, instead of always looking outside of ourselves, we looked within and found contentment in the present moment? The truth of the cause of suffering is not about denying desires or living without ambition. It's about understanding that attachment to these desires and expecting them to bring lasting happiness is what causes suffering. When we can release the tight grip of attachment, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. 3. The truth of the end of suffering, Nirodha. The third truth offers hope. Suffering can end. This is the most beautiful part of the Four Noble Truths. While suffering is a part of life, it is not permanent. The end of suffering is possible. This truth tells us that through understanding the nature of craving and attachment, we can achieve peace. We can free ourselves from the cycle of suffering and experience true freedom. The end of suffering doesn't mean that life becomes perfect or that we won't face challenges anymore. It simply means that we stop clinging to things, stop running away from discomfort, and start living more fully in the present moment. When we let go of our need for things to be different, when we stop trying to control everything, we can experience peace even in the midst of chaos. This is the freedom that the Buddha talks about, a freedom that comes from within, not from external circumstances. 4. The truth of the path to the end of suffering, Magga. Finally, the fourth truth teaches us the way to end suffering. It's not a magic formula or a one-time solution. It's a path, a journey that we walk each day. The Buddha outlined what is called the Noble Eightfold Path, a set of principles that guide us in living a life of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. The Eightfold Path is like a map for navigating life's challenges. It's not a set of rules, but a way of living that leads to greater peace and wisdom. Let's take a look at the 8 parts of this path. Right understanding, understanding the Four Noble Truths, and seeing the world as it truly is. It means seeing things without distortion or illusion. Right thought, thinking in a way that is kind, compassionate, and free from harmful desires. It means cultivating a mind that is calm and clear. Right speech, speaking truthfully, kindly, and wisely. Avoiding lies, gossip, and hurtful words. Right action, acting in ways that are ethical and beneficial to others. This means living with integrity and doing what is right, even when no one is watching. Right livelihood, choosing a profession or way of life that does not harm others and is in line with our values. It means making a living in a way that contributes to the well-being of society. Right effort, making an effort to cultivate positive qualities like kindness, patience, and mindfulness, while working to eliminate negative habits like greed, anger, and ignorance. Right mindfulness, developing awareness of the present moment, paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment. It means being fully present in whatever we do. Right concentration, developing the ability to focus the mind through meditation, so that we can understand ourselves and the world more deeply. Each of these steps is a guide to living a life of balance and peace. When we practice the Eightfold Path, we are actively working towards ending suffering, not by escaping it, but by understanding it and living with wisdom and compassion, bringing it all together. The Four Noble Truths are not just teachings to be memorized. They are ways of seeing and living in the world. They offer us a new perspective on life's challenges. Instead of seeing suffering as something to avoid, we can understand it as a part of the journey. We can learn from it, grow through it, and eventually find peace within it. The path to ending suffering is not about perfection. It's not about avoiding difficult emotions or pretending that life is always easy. It's about embracing life fully, with all of its ups and downs, and finding peace in the midst of it. By understanding and practicing the Four Noble Truths, we can transform our relationship with suffering and step into a life of wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. So, take a moment today to reflect on these truths. Consider how they apply to your life and what steps you can take on the path to ending suffering and finding true happiness. Remember, the hidden gem within you is not buried far away. It is waiting to be discovered through understanding, mindfulness, and the practice of these timeless teachings. The Eightfold Path, a blueprint for a fulfilling life. Imagine walking down a road with many paths in front of you. Some are bumpy and uncertain, while others are clear and peaceful. You can choose any path, but which one will lead you to where you truly want to go? The Eightfold Path is like a map for your life. It's a clear path that shows you how to live in a way that brings peace, happiness, and wisdom into your life. Think of it as a guide that helps you navigate through the ups and downs of life without losing your way. It's not about being perfect, but about becoming more aware, more present, and more aligned with what truly matters. The Eightfold Path isn't just a set of rules to follow. It's a way of living that can transform how you experience life. It's a practical and simple guide to living a balanced and fulfilling life, free from unnecessary suffering. And the best part? It's available to everyone, no matter who you are or where you come from. All it takes is the willingness to walk down that path with an open heart and mind. Let's start with the first step, right understanding. This is all about seeing the world clearly, without the fog of confusion or illusion. It's about understanding the nature of life, how things come and go, how everything is connected, and how suffering is a part of the human experience. When you truly understand this, you stop chasing after things that bring only temporary happiness and start looking for the deeper truths that last. You start to see things as they really are, not just how you want them to be. And when you see the truth, you can make better choices that lead to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Next comes right intentions. This is about having good intentions in your heart and mind. Your intentions guide your actions, so it's important to make sure they are positive, compassionate, and focused on the well-being of others. When your intentions are pure, you begin to live in a way that benefits not just yourself, but the world around you. Whether it's helping a friend, being kind to a stranger, or simply choosing to be more patient with yourself, right intentions create a ripple effect of goodness in your life. Then there's right speech. Think about how often we speak without truly thinking about what we're saying. Words have power. They can either heal or hurt, build or destroy. Right speech is about being mindful of the words you use. It's about speaking with honesty, kindness, and respect. It's not just about avoiding lies or gossip, but also about speaking with love and clarity. When you choose your words wisely, you create harmony in your relationships and in your own mind. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to bring peace, understanding, and connection. The next step is right action. This is about how you live your life through your actions. Are you living in a way that aligns with your values? Do your actions support the person you want to become? Right action is about making choices that lead to good outcomes, not just for you but for others as well. It's about being mindful of how your actions affect those around you. When you act with integrity and kindness, you create a life that is fulfilling and meaningful. It's not about being perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, but it's about learning from those mistakes and striving to do better. Then comes right livelihood. This step is about how you earn your living and what kind of work you do. Does your work contribute to the well-being of others, or does it harm them? Right livelihood is about choosing a profession or way of life that is in harmony with your values. It's about making sure your work aligns with what you believe is important and that it supports your own growth and the growth of others. When your livelihood is in alignment with your values, work doesn't feel like a burden. It becomes a way to express who you are and what you stand for. The sixth step is right effort. In life, it's easy to fall into laziness or procrastination. Right effort is about finding balance. It's not about working endlessly without rest, but about putting in the effort to improve yourself and your life in a mindful and intentional way. It's about striving for goodness, wisdom, and peace, while also knowing when to rest and recharge. Right effort requires you to put in consistent, steady work toward your goals, while being kind and patient with yourself along the way. It's about finding the balance between striving and accepting. Next comes right mindfulness. This is about being fully present in every moment. Most of the time, we live our lives on autopilot, moving from one task to the next without truly paying attention to what's happening around us. Right mindfulness teaches us to be aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions in every moment. It's about slowing down and paying attention to what's happening in the here and now. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to notice the small things, the sound of the wind, the taste of your food, the feeling of the ground beneath your feet. This mindfulness brings clarity and peace to your life, allowing you to experience life more deeply and with more appreciation. The final step in the Eightfold Path is right concentration. This is about developing focus and mental clarity. In today's world, distractions are everywhere, and it's easy to get pulled in many different directions. Right concentration is about training your mind to focus on what's most important and to develop a deep sense of inner calm. It's about learning to focus your attention and energy in a way that brings peace and clarity to your life. With right concentration, You can tune out the noise and find stillness within. This inner peace allows you to see things clearly and make wiser decisions. Together, these 8 steps form a powerful blueprint for living a life of purpose, peace, and fulfillment. They guide you to live with integrity, wisdom, and compassion. The Eightfold Path isn't a quick fix, it's a lifelong journey. But by taking even small steps every day, you will find yourself growing closer to the person you are meant to be. And as you walk this path, you will find that you have less suffering, more peace, and a deeper sense of joy. In every step, the Eightfold Path encourages you to be mindful and aware, to choose actions that align with your highest good, and to live in harmony with the world around you. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, patience, and presence. And by living this way, you unlock the hidden gem that's always been within you, waiting to shine. Meditation and stillness. Unearthing the diamond within. In our busy, fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the noise, the constant rush, the overwhelming thoughts, the endless distractions. It seems like there's no room for silence, no place for peace. But what if I told you that true clarity and wisdom come only when you step away from all of that and embrace stillness? You may be wondering, how can silence, something that seems so simple, unlock the most profound treasures within you? Let me explain. Imagine your mind is like a pond. When the water is calm, you can see clearly to the bottom. But when the water is disturbed, it becomes murky, and you can no longer see anything clearly. Our minds are the same. When we're constantly distracted by our thoughts, our emotions, the chaos of daily life, it's as though the waters of our mind are constantly churning. But when we allow ourselves to be still, when we embrace silence, we can see clearly. The answers we've been searching for, the wisdom we need, are already within us. We just need the stillness to recognize them. This is where meditation comes in. Meditation is not about trying to clear your mind of all thoughts. It's about creating the space to let those thoughts come and go without attachment. It's about observing without judgment. At first, this might sound challenging. The mind is naturally busy, jumping from one thought to the next. But as you practice, you begin to notice a change. Slowly, you start to feel more at ease, more in tune with yourself. The constant noise starts to fade, and you become more present in the moment. Let's take a step back for a moment and think about the times when you felt truly peaceful, when you felt truly connected to yourself. Wasn't it when you were simply present, when you weren't thinking about the past or the future, but just being right here, right now? That's the essence of meditation, being fully in the present moment. And in that moment, you find clarity, and with clarity comes the ability to make better decisions, to see things as they truly are, and to tap into the inner wisdom you may have forgotten about. You don't need to sit in a special place or dedicate hours of your day to meditation. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to find small pockets of stillness throughout your day. Start by taking a few minutes to focus on your breath, to simply breathe in and out, observing how the air enters your lungs and leaves your body. It's not about doing it perfectly. It's about allowing yourself to be present. Now, as you continue with your practice, you'll notice something remarkable. It's not just your thoughts that begin to calm. It's your emotions, too. You'll find that you react less to things that once upset you. You'll begin to realize that you don't need to control everything around you. The less you try to control, the more peaceful you feel. This is because, in the stillness, you begin to understand the nature of impermanence, the fact that everything is always changing. In Buddhism, this understanding is crucial. It teaches that nothing in life is permanent, not even our thoughts and feelings. They come and go, just like clouds in the sky. When we try to hold on to things, whether they are thoughts, emotions, or even material possessions, we cause ourselves suffering. But when we embrace the flow of life, when we accept the changing nature of everything, we experience freedom. Meditation helps us cultivate this acceptance. Think about the last time you felt stressed. How often do you find yourself holding on to that stress, replaying a situation over and over in your mind? The more you dwell on it, the more it affects your peace. But if you practice stillness and let go of those thoughts, you start to free yourself from that mental burden. It's like uncluttering your mind, making space for something more meaningful to come in. The beauty of meditation is that it doesn't require any special tools. and it doesn't need to be a long, complicated practice. It's simply about setting aside time to connect with your inner self. And over time, you'll find that the more still you become, the more you start to realize your true nature. You'll begin to notice the qualities of peace, compassion, and wisdom rising from within you, like a diamond slowly being uncovered from a block of stone. You might wonder, how does this stillness help in real life? Well, when your mind is clear, you make better decisions. When you're calm, you respond to challenges with a sense of balance rather than reacting with frustration. Your relationships improve because you become more present and attentive to others. You begin to see the world differently, not as a place of chaos, but as a place of opportunity for growth and connection. The key is consistency. The more you practice stillness, the deeper the transformation. At first, the mind might resist. It might say, "I don't have time for this," or "this isn't working." But don't be discouraged. Just like a muscle, your ability to meditate grows stronger with practice. The key is to be patient with yourself, to trust that even in moments of distraction, you're still moving forward. Remember, meditation is not about escaping from life. It's about engaging with life from a place of calm and clarity. It's about coming back to yourself so that you can move through the world with a sense of purpose and peace. The more you meditate, the more you begin to recognize that the answers you seek aren't out there somewhere. They're already inside you. As you continue your journey of stillness, remember that this is a lifelong practice. It's not something you do once and forget about. It's a path of continuous discovery. And with each moment of stillness, you're uncovering more of your inner wisdom, your inner peace, and the hidden gem that has always been there, waiting to be revealed. When you begin to meditate regularly, you start to realize that you are not defined by your thoughts, your emotions, or your external circumstances. You are something much deeper, much more expansive. Meditation allows you to tap into that depth, to reconnect with your true self, and to live from a place of balance and wisdom. And this, my friends, is where the hidden gem within you starts to shine the brightest. Conclusion: embrace your hidden gem and transform the world. You've made it. We've come to the end of this journey, but as all wise travelers know, the end of one path is merely the beginning of another. Throughout this series, you've learned about unlocking the hidden gem within you, how to recognize it, polish it, and let it shine. But the real question now is, what will you do with this understanding? Let me take you back to the start. Remember the example of the hidden gemstone, covered in dirt and unnoticed? That gem represents your true self, your deepest potential, your wisdom, your ability to transform not just your life but the lives of those around you. Over the course of this journey, you've gently wiped away the dust, layer by layer, revealing the brilliance that has always been within you. You may wonder, what now? The answer lies in three simple yet profound ideas: embrace, share, and transform. Let's explore these together. Embrace who you are. The first step is acceptance. You've uncovered the gem inside you, but it's not just about knowing it exists. It's about living as that person. Embrace your imperfections, your struggles, and your triumphs. Life is not about being flawless. It's about being authentic. When you truly embrace who you are, you stop trying to be someone else. You begin to walk your own path with confidence and peace. Imagine a lake on a calm morning. Its surface is still, reflecting the sky above. That lake isn't trying to be the ocean or a river. It's content in its essence. Be like that lake. Still, calm, true to yourself. Share your light. A gem hidden in the dark sparkles for no one. It may be beautiful, but its beauty remains unseen. Similarly, your wisdom, compassion, and talents are not meant to stay hidden. Share them. Whether it's through a kind word, a helping hand, or simply being present for someone who needs you, let your light shine. The Buddha once said, "Thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened." You are that candle. When you share your light, you illuminate the world without losing anything. In fact, your light grows brighter because you're living in alignment with your true self. Transform the world. The world is full of challenges, pain, suffering, and confusion. But it's also full of hope, love, and transformation. By being the gem you were meant to be, you become a force for good. You don't need to change the entire world overnight. Start with your world, your family, your community, your relationships. Change begins in small, everyday moments. A smile, a word of encouragement, a thoughtful gesture. These may seem insignificant, but they ripple outward, creating waves of positivity that reach farther than you can imagine. The beauty of impermanence. As you move forward, remember one of the most profound teachings of Buddhism: impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing. Your circumstances, emotions, and even the people around you will shift and evolve. This is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. When you understand impermanence, you stop clinging to what you cannot control. You begin to live fully in the present moment, appreciating each experience for what it is. You find peace not in permanence, but in the flow of life itself. A final story to remember. Let me leave you with a story. There was once a young monk who asked his Zen master, "Master, how can I find peace in a world full of chaos?" The master replied, "Go to the river and bring me a jar of water." The monk obeyed, but the river was turbulent, and the water in the jar was muddy. The master smiled and said, "Now, let the jar sit still." As the monk watched, the mud began to settle, and the water became clear. The master said, "Your mind is like this jar. When it is agitated, it is hard to see clearly. But when it is still, everything becomes clear." Peace is not something you find. It is something you allow. Your journey continues. This is your invitation to live with clarity, peace, and purpose. Remember, the hidden gem within you is not something separate from you. It is you. You've done the work to uncover it, and now it's time to let it shine. As we conclude, I want to thank you for walking this path with us. Your willingness to explore these ideas shows that you are truly one of the rare souls who seek wisdom and growth. Before you leave, I have a request. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of you have subscribed. If this series has inspired you, even in the smallest way, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your support helps us bring this light to others who might need it. And remember, every ending is just the beginning of something new. Keep seeking, keep growing, and keep shining. You are the hidden gem the world needs. Thank you, and farewell for now.